Hi, I'm going to talk to you about renewal. And this is the finding of a case study that we did of a Catholic church in Atlantic Canada. Renewal in this church was a response to a challenging set of circumstances. It began at a time in which the Catholic diocese was facing amalgamation of many of its parishes due to declining numbers of engaged Catholics. Also at the same time, allegations of clergy sexual abuse were being raised, and these actually did result in a series of criminal charges, and a class action suit is still underway in the diocese. So these are very challenging circumstances in which to found a new parish. But there were also some opportunities that the leadership of this parish recognized. One was the growing immigrant population in the neighborhood. This growing population prompted the diocese to agree to the building of a new church, a new modern church that would accommodate growing number of Catholics. But this was not a guarantee. So the leadership took this as an opportunity to renew the Catholic parish. And they based this renewal on a couple of key components. One being what we call the new evangelization in the Catholic Church. And this is really an emphasis on the renewal of existing Catholics' faith and commitment and engagement with their Catholic faith. This new evangelization has been a theme in the Catholic Church since the 1960s. The leadership was also very strategic about this renewal. They knew that by re-engaging Catholics with a mature faith, they would re-engage their commitment to parish life. They also used this new evangelization as an opportunity to engage people who were not Catholic or who had not committed to some kind of Christian faith. And so this new evangelization at this particular Catholic parish was engaged using a couple of tools. The primary tools were the introduction of Alpha as a means for which Catholics to rediscover and talk and share their faith journey with other Catholics. And this tool is common in many areas. So Alpha, if you want to know more about that, you could look that up. But Alpha was adapted for this Catholic parish, and everyone in the parish was encouraged to become part of an Alpha group. And so now at this parish, there are multiple Alpha groups which take place throughout the year. After people have become part of an Alpha group, then they're encouraged to join what's called a life group. And these life groups meet regularly, a couple of times a month, in different parishioners' homes. I was able to participate in an online Alpha group, which involved folks from around the world. These Alpha groups continue to engage in their faith as mature Catholic adults. And this was a real focus, to engage Catholic adults as mature Catholics in a dialogue with their faith and everyday life. The other tool that was really key for renewal in this parish was Sunday liturgies. The liturgies needed to become more relevant to Catholics in their daily lives. And so one of the ways in which this liturgical renewal responded to the Catholics in that parish was through a diversity of religious liturgical styles. And this responded to the diversity in the parish as it was growing. And so these diverse styles included two very dynamic, upbeat liturgies with modern music and contemporary instruments, and then two liturgies that were a little bit more traditional. One, that would be using music from the Catholic Book of Worship with organ music, and then another liturgy that was much more contemplative and focused on using chant, some of it which was from the early days of liturgical Latin chant, and then much more subdued lighting with candles and a contemplative atmosphere. The other part of those liturgies, which was really important, was renewal in preaching. And so the homilies became much more focused, much more relevant to Catholics' daily lives, with messages that were easy to remember and focused on the readings of the day. They were also connected to one another, very deliberate. And so there were preaching series that addressed a theme, but in a variety of different ways over the course of several weekends. So this renewal in liturgical style and in preaching, along with engagement in small groups, led to and continues to contribute to renewal at this parish. There are over 90 different ministries in which Catholics at this parish are involved. It is a dynamic and renewed energy at this parish that arose out of a very challenging set of circumstances. And so I would ask you to reflect on what are the challenging circumstances in your church context, and how might you reframe these challenges as opportunities?